My wife Karina worked as a secretary, tirelessly, and, as it turned out, legs. In the construction concern, Oko. Recently, she has devoted herself entirely to her favorite business, even working overtime. For all 7 years of my life together, I completely trusted my wife, until late tonight, while on duty, I accidentally saw her leaving the Plaza Hotel, accompanied by the chief. Indeed, overtime is so stressful. They kissed, got into a big car and rolled into the night, and I went to the entrance to the hotel. There was cool porn on the screen. A young, attractive woman surrounded by several lascivious males. The truth with fantasy is a little weak. Basically, a set of standard items. But youth, enthusiasm and a desire to do what you love easily compensated. To be honest, the spectacle completely captured me. Opening her mouth in a mute cry of voluptuousness, the woman wriggled under dark-skinned lovers, every now and then catching their protruding advantages with her lips. Finally, shaking in a powerful orgasm, she relaxed exhaustively under another muscular body. And that there is definitely no sound, I came off the screen and looked at the operator. Alas, this is a recording from a hidden camera, there is no audio track on it. The Plaza Hotel CCTV operator smiled. Look to the end there, the most interesting. I turned to the screen again. The woman lay exhausted on the bed, bending her left leg and her knee. Suddenly, a man dressed in a strict suit appeared in sight. Sat down on the bed and began kissing her body, descending ever lower and eventually froze between his legs. The woman's body arched and she clogged in a powerful orgasm. Well, quality porn. In general, everything, as always, is a classic of the genre, so to speak. Except for the fact that a man in a strict suit is the general director and at the same time the owner of the construction concern, Oko, and the main character of this show is my wife Karina. I suppose this is the only copy of the video. I tried to speak in a deliberately indifferent tone, hiding the disc in my pocket. Sure, the cameraman still mistook me for a black pepper strawberry lover. Now you understand why it is worth such money? I silently put the notes on the edge of the table and stood up. So, when do you say they have another meeting? I didn't say anything. It was clear that the operator was at a loss. I added a few more notes and, as if by chance, showed the edge of a police certificate. Tomorrow night, at 11:30. In the same issue. This young man has healthy reflexes, I thought, and without saying goodbye I went out. Karina arrived home at almost midnight. I have not yet laid down and watched some Schneeaga on TV, occasionally slurping off a glass of whiskey. The wife threw off her shoes and her delicate silhouette appeared in the doorway, filling the room with the aroma of an expensive perfume. Love, I'm already at home. She chirped gently and tried to kiss me on the lips. I affectionately removed her and put her cheek up. After what I saw, I lost my desire to kiss her. I love you, honestly, I no longer knew where to kiss her at all. Lord, I am so tired. Karina sat down on the sofa and pressed her legs. I worked all day, then went shopping, and I also sat in a cafe with my friends. Well, in this, in Uprising Square. I looked sympathetically at my wife. Poor girl, I wouldn't be tired yet. Here not every man can stand it. Tomorrow I will come very late, we are preparing documents for the tender, we will have to delay. Nothing can be trusted to anyone, everything must be done by itself. I smiled. In this situation, her words sounded ambiguous. I got off the couch. Sorry dear, I'll go lie down, tomorrow I have a difficult day too. Love you. Karina smacked her lips, imitating a kiss. Me too. In the morning I called Dawn. We talked no more than 5 minutes. When hung up, I knew that I will do. I looked at the watch. The shining dial showed 10:30 evening. Hours on the dashboard lagged behind for 1.5 minutes. It is advisable to adjust time. A thought he is lazy ran on crinkles of a brain and dropped out through the left ear. It was suffocating hot, the conditioner and decent speed did not save. Dense and heavy closeness was groundless, as always at this time at the end of July. The moon was not. From the asphalt which heated up in a day the unsteady fog rose. In its sticky embraces the jingling dim light of streetlights tried to drive away shy shadows of night to sleepy houses. Here an intersection. The street at right angle crossed the narrow dark lane. I turned to the right and braked at the sidewalk. Then opened a glove box and got a plastic thermos with cold tea. Having taken several sips, I leaned back on a seat and for an instant covered eyes. For some reason heart began to hurt. Around it was silent, and it seemed to me that I absolutely alone in it, not become to me to the family, the city. Having taken couple more of sips, I put a thermos on front seat and again looked at the watch. 23:10. Well it is time. I started the car and went to depth of the lane. From two parties clamped by gloomy old houses, the road here was worse. Therefore it was necessary to look attentively, slowly going round hollows. Sometimes it was necessary even to nestle closely on the sidewalk to a minimum dumping speed. Having reached the intersection, turned on more or less lit street. Pressed the accelerator pedal and the car began to gather speed, crashing into dense and stuffy night air. Here in downtown, I braked and slowly went along the sidewalk. Around not a soul. Night already fell by the filling up city. I drove up to Plaza Hotel exactly at 11:30 in the evening. The parking for lodgers was occupied and I had to park the car opposite, directly under house windows. I tried to do everything slowly. Got a cane, put on a hat, took out from a trunk a case with the tool. Having locked the car, crossed the street and went to an entrance. "You where?" The voice of the doorkeeper reminded a voice Angela on the doomsday. "On a party, I am a saxophonist." Stretching vowels I answered. The doorkeeper looked in some piece of paper, then on my case and unexpectedly told pass. I politely smiled, happy that the police certificate was not necessary to shine, and surely went to the hall. From the hall of restaurant the music and noise of voices reached. Someone's office party was in full swing. Having made sure that the doorkeeper does not see me, approached elevators. In several seconds I already was on the necessary floor. The corridor was empty. My nose caught a grass smell. Well, of course, 3 in 1. Alcohol, the perverted sex and a grass. Dream of the aged playboy. Near the necessary number I stopped, accurately leaned against a wall a cane and put a case on a floor. Sat down on hunkers and got the automatic machine. Stood a little, driving away the last doubts, and rejected a butt. Attached shop and the muffler, distorted a lock. Put a universal key, the lock clicked and the door opened. I understood at once that contemplation of real sex much more brightly and more emotionally than on the screen. Live paints, sighs and groans, a rhythmical scratch of springs created the unique atmosphere of the true intergender friendship. Only an inherent group orgy, with the partners who are well understanding each other. On the contrary, picturesquely settled down group of supporters. Mr. CEO sat and patiently waited for the exit. He held in the right hand, well clear that he could hold in hand looking at such gripping show. When I entered, Karina's look obscured by mad passion stopped on me. From surprise she screamed and tried to stop the black partners. All participants at the event stood and, as if on command, turned the heads in my party. I politely greeted and pressed a trigger. The submachine gun in my hands the last time loudly clicked and at once there came the silence, was only heard as the last taken off sleeve, jumping up rolled on a floor. From the muffler the bluish smoke stretched. Began to smell the burned down gunpowder, blood and a grass. Without letting go the automatic machine, I approached a window and looked down. Around my car some immoderately zealous police officer reeled up circles. There now, was not enough to everything to earn a penalty for the wrong parking. My God, when they sleep. Behind my back the door creaked. You that, all of them. Dawn appeared, as always, in time. Alas, my friend. I put yet not cooled down weapon on the table covered with the broken bottles and took the cane. Could not stop, the automatic machine piece hazardous. Many people want to marry the person who is beautiful and has an ideal figure. However, I would advise you to marry the woman less glamorous and attractive, but true. All beautiful women have many admirers, and they often change. Allow me to tell you the story. It confirms everything that I told above. I got acquainted with the wife when I studied at the first year of the university. We were fellow students. So it turned out that among our students there was an amazing girl by the name of Lida. She was pleasant to all guys in group. All were ready to meet her, and it was unsurprising. Lida was simply charming. Beautiful face, easy temper, ideal proportions and long legs. As for me, I can tell honestly that I have very simple, average image. Girls never paid to me attention and often pushed away me. I didn't even think that Lida can become my wife. In 5 years that we studied together, she never spoke with me more than 3 times. I didn't look for with her the relations. I understood that this girl doesn't suit me. But before the release, when all prepared for protection of theses, we approached Lydia. At first it asked me to help her with the thesis, then just invited me to coffee. I liked to talk to her, I just talked and watched her. Our communication continued also after the end of study. It became more frequent, more open and confidential. After that we became couple. This charming girl became my first wife. I had no close relations with the girl up to 23 years. I think, Lita saw in me the reliable and careful young man who seriously treated life. For these reasons, without being silly, she decided to remain with me. I very much fell in love with this girl and after a year of joint life married her. Our young family grew. We became parents. My wife gave birth to the healthy son. We seemed the happiest family. My relations with the wife were stable. My son grew and was happy, and at me everything was good. But it became boring for my Lita during the maternity leave. She wanted to become full-fledged mother and the wife. Therefore she signed up the child in kindergarten and began to look for work. Soon she found him. She didn't begin to hesitate and got a job the administrator in popular nightclub. At night I was at home with the child, and the wife left for work and came back in the morning. Living in such mode, we began to move away imperceptibly from each other. We spoke only about the child, the proximity was zero, and the last point was the fact that the wife left the house for 10 days. She told that she left on affairs, allegedly their manager opens other club, but in other city, and she needs the help there. At first I didn't understand and released the wife, let in with scandal, but in several days I began to consider a situation and decided to go to the place of work of the wife to find out everything. So I learned all truth. Colleagues of the wife told me that my wife was not in a business trip, and on vacation in Turkey. She has a mad affair with the boss of nightclub, and about it knows all city, except me, of course. I was shocked, having learned about Lita's incorrectness. Furious and suppressed by anger, I decided to wait for her arrival and to talk seriously. When the wife returned, I told her that I know all truth about his affair with the manager of club, and I know well origin of her evenly suntanned skin. Lita didn't apologize, she just told that it is the truth. That she is in love with other man and that we have to leave. My wife even asked me to be upset not to because of our parting. I am still young and I will find to myself other wife soon. But I don't need other woman. I need family, the son. So I released the beauty and she moved to the boss. And now my son lives with the mother. Also you know that I think. If my wife was less beautiful and less clever, then her boss wouldn't fall in love with her. Proceeding from the experience, I think that it is necessary to steer clear of beautiful women. After all, they are always strangers.